I am John Whaley. I'm John Whaley, founder and CEO of Unify ID. Yeah, it was a lot of fun because I get to work and interact with a lot of data scientists, which you don't necessarily get to do every day, and hear from a lot of people at different companies and different organizations, rather than people working with our tight bubble. And yeah, already just after our talk, we had a lot of interesting conversations with other people. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the number one reason I think is that we now have just a lot more sources of data than we used to. In terms of tons of sensors around, tons of, just like this explosion of data, whereas earlier it was very hard to get access to good quality data. And now it's like we're almost drowning in data and we have to decide what's important versus not. So, and this is really the renaissance time for data science and machine learning. Yeah, so what our talk was really about using unique things about each individual, and then picking things like your behavior, your environment, your biometrics, things like that, and then you're able to sense these just passively using the sensors in your life, like on your phone, on your computer, IoT, these things, and then just combining this information from these sensors, you can actually uniquely identify, and not only identify, but authenticate people. So we talked specifically about one aspect, which is gait analysis, like the way you walk, and specifically around your cadence, like the number of steps you take and how quickly you walk. And it turns out that, based on your unique physiology, there is, everybody has their own number about how many steps they take per minute. And just with 4 seconds of data, you can uniquely identify that number and thereby uniquely identify the person who is walking. And so it's a tricky problem. There's a lot of, we're taking the data from the phone. There's a lot of accelerometer data. There's a lot of noise in there. The sampling rate is not uniform. You have to take all of these things into account. But once you do, you can actually then extract out a very strong signal about who somebody is just by looking at 4 seconds of their walking. So one obvious thing is you need to practice. In terms of just study and practice. But one thing that I think that a lot of data scientists lose, one factor that they miss out on is really trying to understand the underlying process, of what's being measured. And then if you have this type of insight about what is actually happening in the underlying process, then you can have these very key insights about about the problem. Whereas if you just took a bunch of random data and you don't know where it came from, then you can't really say very much about it. So I think it's important, to be a great data scientist is to not only understand how to analyze data, but also understand where that data came from. Is it from a sensor? Is it from if it's and how is it measured? And what are the idiosyncrasies of the way that happens? And if you come to that level of understanding, then you can make much deeper insights than just somebody who just had a bunch of random data that they weren't really sure what it was.